The Heavenly Demon. Can't Live a Normal Life. By Sanchin. Chapter 465. The Last Outing. The visit came as a surprise. Romero Dimitri's face lit up when he heard that Roman had stopped by, and he welcomed his son warmly. "So, how is everything?" "All right? Same as always. You are the emperor of the Dimitri Empire. Countless lives depend on your health, so make sure to always take care of yourself above all else. Also, make sure to eat the healthy foods your mother sends you. They're so good that I feel like I'm getting younger myself," he laughed cheerfully. Father and son fell into easy conversation, speaking of everyday matters. Eager to make the most of this rare visit, Romero asked one question after another: how Roman had been, whether any issues had come up. As the conversation stretched on, Romero, studying his son's expression, cautiously asked, "By the way, are you still not thinking about marriage?" Marriage. It was House Dimitri's biggest concern at present. While the empire had thrived since its founding, their eldest son's continued refusal to marry remained a persistent worry on their minds. His second and youngest sons were already married. With only Roman left, Romero wanted to understand his eldest son's feelings on the matter. And there was something else weighing on his mind. If you've lost interest in marriage because of that broken engagement, I am truly sorry about what happened back then. I shouldn't have been so harsh with you just because the wedding fell through. I just couldn't control my anger in the heat of the moment. Son, I don't want you to feel pressured into marriage. If you ever find someone you truly love, no matter who they are, please introduce them to me anytime. I will be genuinely happy for you." The broken engagement remained a sore subject. Just thinking about it was painful. Romero worried he might be the reason for his son's reluctance to try again. Roman understood where his father was coming from. His reasons for avoiding marriage, however, definitely weren't the ones Romero was worried about. "I cannot do something I won't be able to take responsibility for." That was a truth he couldn't speak aloud, though. Instead, he met his father's gaze, smiled, and got to the reason for his visit. "My decision not to marry is my own choice, Father. And you know, since ascending to the throne, I've had a lot of time to reflect on my life. Each time, my thoughts turned to appreciation for you. Even when people pointed fingers at me, you always stood in my corner, supporting me in whatever I did. Thank you. I am truly grateful to be able to call a man like Romero Dimitri my father." Romero swallowed. His son rarely expressed himself so openly. Hearing such heartfelt gratitude almost brought tears to Romero's eyes. It felt like a weight lifted from his heart. For the past 3 years, as Roman continued to avoid marriage at every turn, Romero had agonized over it, wondering if it was his fault. He smiled. "Thank you, son." And with that, his son left. As Romero replayed the conversation in his mind afterward, he suddenly felt a pang of regret. "I shouldn't have stopped at thank you. I should have spoken from the heart as well. Just as he found the courage, I should have told him how grateful I am that he is my son. Even in those days when they called you the dim-witted Dimitri, you were always my beloved boy." It was all right, though. This wouldn't be his only chance to say it. As he looked out the window, Romero Dimitri felt that the sunlight on his face was even warmer than usual that day. Even after the Hector Valhalla incident was resolved, Chris remained busy. His excellent administrative skills made him indispensable in any field. That day was no different. But after finishing his morning training and processing a pile of documents, he received an unexpected visitor. "Your Majesty. You seem very busy." "Not at all, please come in." It was Roman Dimitri. This had never happened before. Chris had often sought out the emperor for important matters, but the emperor had never come to him himself. It caught him off guard. After offering Roman the seat at the head of the table, Chris stared at him with naked curiosity. Roman eased them both into a casual conversation. Then, suddenly, he said something strange. "Chris, thanks to your swift response, the incident with Valhalla and Hector was resolved without issue." But what if I weren't in Dimitri? Do you think you still could have prevented their conflict? What do you mean? This is a hypothetical. I want to hear your thoughts. What a random question. After thinking it over for a long moment, Chris met Roman's eye and said, "This world is as peaceful as it is because you're here, Your Majesty. If you weren't, things like that recent incident wouldn't have been resolved so easily. But that's all there is to it. Under your guidance, Dimitri has built a solid foundation for itself. Even without your direct influence, Hector and Valhalla wouldn't have been able to defy Dimitri's orders." Yes, you're right. People mistakenly thought that Roman Dimitri was all there was to Dimitri. But that wasn't the case at all. This nation had grown and changed alongside Roman, developing a strength far beyond what most realized. Dimitri is powerful, Roman agreed. Strong enough to rule the entire continent even without me. Chris, you are qualified to lead a new era. When we first met, you were lost, heading in the wrong direction, but you had a talent inside of you that surpassed anyone else's. That's why, while I took countless others under my wing, you were the only one who had to grow strong on your own. Because you had the ability. Because I knew that with your incredible talent, you were capable of finding your own way without my help. Chris's eyes took on a wet sheen as a surge of emotion rushed up his throat. This was his first time hearing such words of acknowledgement from Roman Dimitri. You should be proud of yourself, Roman continued when Chris failed to summon his voice. As the ranking tournament proves, you are clearly my successor. Chris's eyes flew wide open. The rest of the conversation was a blur after that. Once Roman was gone, Chris remained stunned. He couldn't seem to stop smiling. Had he ever been this giddy? This is what I truly wanted. He finally understood. He hadn't simply wanted to surpass Roman Dimitri. The moment he met him, Chris's world changed dramatically. From the day he faced that untouchable being for the first time, he had felt a powerful desire for Roman Dimitri's approval. His dream of surpassing him. Despite knowing it wasn't possible to achieve, he kept pushing himself, hoping that one day Roman Dimitri would acknowledge his progress. That was why he constantly sought to prove his worth. That was why, even when he dueled Roman and was mercilessly crushed over and over, he kept getting up again and trying even harder, yearning to hear those words of recognition even once. He kept grinning, standing in the empty space where Roman Dimitri had been. It seemed unlikely that he'd get any more work done today. Thump. Ha. Ha. Sprawled out on the floor was Kevin, fighting to catch his breath. Ever since his conversation with Roman Dimitri, he had thrown himself into his training with gusto. Even though the world was at peace, he worked tirelessly to remain indispensable to his lord. Just then. Still at it, I see. My lord? He shot up to his feet. It was Roman himself. He staggered slightly as he scrambled up, but quickly steadied himself and faced him. Kevin, said Roman, tilting his head, you're already strong enough. Why do you push yourself so hard? It was a familiar question. Months ago, Kevin had asked him the same thing. He had expressed an inability to understand why Roman kept working himself like a dog even after defeating the Demon King. He hesitated for a moment, gathering his thoughts. When he finally gave his answer, his voice was steady. I've been thinking a lot since our conversation, my lord. Even you, whom I can't possibly hope to match, constantly work to improve yourself. So why was I settling for the status quo? The reason was a lack of purpose, a real reason to get stronger. I shouldn't only want to get stronger when there's an enemy right in front of me, but become the type of person who can solve any problem that might arise in the future before it even comes. My lord, my family, and everyone in Dimitri, no one will touch them. I will make sure of it. A firm determination reinforced his every word. Kevin was back to his usual, to his true self. If any trouble came knocking on Dimitri's door, it would first have to go through the demon of Dimitri. Roman smiled. Among those who followed Roman, Kevin wasn't the strongest. He consistently lost to Chris in the ranking tournament, and with rising stars like Edwin Hector improving by the day, there was no guarantee Kevin would always come out on top against them. But setting all of that aside, if someone were to ask him who he trusted most in the world, Roman would be able to answer without a shred of hesitation. Kevin, I trust you more than anyone. Because you are here, I never worry much when I'm not. The boy he once knew had grown up without him noticing. As he looked into the intense eyes fixed on him, Roman was struck by the passage of time. You never know the path life might take. If a problem ever arises that the people of Dimitri cannot handle themselves, I want you to be the one to solve it. What I am about to tell you is the reward for the burden you shall carry. Of this, he was certain, with Chris and Kevin at its helm, Dimitri would reign forever. The divine demon sword technique. I will show you its final form. It was a bright afternoon. Roman strolled through the city center. Dimitri, past and present, had undergone many changes. What was once a city of blacksmiths lined with sturdy, functional buildings had now transformed into a splendid capital befitting the title of empire. No one recognized Roman with his hood pulled down. All around him, people chatted and went about their daily lives, enjoying the present moment with the faces of those accustomed to peace. The first time I walked down this street, I was on a mission to understand this world. Roman Dimitri had been an unfamiliar name to him back then. He had ventured out into the streets to adapt to this new, strange world and meet an old man in the slums. He went there now. The shacks where feet sank into the ground and the smell of rot clung to the air, no trace of them remained. Dimitri had undertaken extensive redevelopment to improve people's lives, and at least here, in the capital of the Dimitri Empire, the slums no longer existed, now nothing more than a memory. Looking at the neighborhood where the slums once stood, Roman recalled the things he had seen and heard there. Then, quite by chance, he overheard a conversation between people reminiscing about the past, just like him. It really has changed a lot. It's all thanks to His Majesty Emperor Roman. Ever since his reign began, not a single thing has failed to get better. People who used to beg on the streets all got jobs, and the economy sprang back to life as they spent the money they earned. You know, sometimes I think His Majesty the Emperor might be a gift from God. If those devils from the Devildom had attacked while Kronos and Valhalla were still running rampant, we never would have survived. I think so, too. People reminisce about the conquest of the Devildom, but we regular folk didn't have to face any of that danger, did we? That was why Roman Dimitri was so admired. Thanks to the choices he'd made, shouldering the burden as their leader, the end of the world hadn't felt like the end of the world. People were grateful he was their emperor. He passed them by. From the street to the slums, from the slums to the blacksmiths. He retraced past footsteps. As he was about to head to the restaurant he once visited with Hans for the last time, a familiar voice stopped him. Your Majesty! There you are! A man came running down the street, out of breath. It was Hans. The Emperor's outing hadn't been reported to anyone. But even though he wore a hood, Hans immediately recognized the figure down the street as Roman Dimitri. How did you know it was me? Of course I knew. I've been serving you for decades now, Your Majesty. I can recognize you instantly just by your shape and the way you walk. But why on earth did you leave without a word? You can do whatever you please, of course, but if you had just let me know, wouldn't I have made all of the necessary preparations to avoid any inconvenience? And Hans was talkative. Apparently surprised that Roman had left without notice, he kept chattering on. It was a familiar scene, Hans walking ahead, and Roman following after him. It had been the same back then, too. As they headed toward the restaurant that day, Hans had been chattering nervously, trying to impart to him how dangerous the situation they were heading into was. And yet, despite knowing how much peril he was in, Hans had stayed by his side as he confronted the blood fangs. Then, when Roman left him behind, he ran to Captain Jonathan and begged him to protect the young master. Hans. Yes, Your Majesty? From the moment I first arrived in this world, you were there by my side. You always took what you did for me for granted, saying it was just your duty, but your presence helped me find stability in what could have been chaos. So, there was something I always wanted to tell you someday. What do you mean? The words were incomprehensible to Hans. Arrived in this world? Hans had been looking after Roman ever since he was young. It was a strange remark for someone just reminiscing about their childhood to make. Hans stopped walking for a moment, about to turn and look back at Roman. But before he could, "I was lucky that you were the first person I met in this world." At those words, his heart skipped a beat. Tears welled up in his eyes. Hearing himself described as a stroke of luck filled Hans with indescribable emotion. The feeling was mutual. Most thought of Hans merely as a servant, but Roman didn't see him that way. He saw him as family. Simply by managing his life, looking after his household, and faithfully fulfilling his duties as his steward, Hans had received a noble title. The feelings Roman had expressed weren't one-sided. Roman had once told him that feelings were a two-way street, and Hans felt grateful for the opportunity to give back as much as he was given. He turned his head, intending to convey those feelings. But, "Your Majesty?" There was no one there. Roman Dmitri, who had been following him just moments before, was nowhere to be seen. "Your Majesty? Your Majesty!" Hans looked around frantically, calling out for Roman. But no matter how many times he called, long past sunset, he couldn't find him. Not just that day, but ever since. Into an empty, white space stepped a human. "Roman Dmitri," said a voice. "The time has come." For the past 3 years, Roman Dmitri had been living on borrowed time. And just as God had warned him long ago, for the sake of this world, he now had to leave. I know. It was unavoidable. If he could have changed things by cutting God down here and now, Roman would have gladly made an enemy of him. But he knew it wouldn't make a difference. The reason Roman couldn't continue living in this world wasn't because of God, but because of dimensional law. If he stubbornly refused to leave, his very existence would cause rifts, and the world would one day meet the same end as the Devildom. He couldn't allow that to happen. So, he accepted his fate. He had been prepared for this from the beginning, so even now, faced with God's decree, Roman remained unfazed. "I have a question," said God. "For the past 3 years, why did you do nothing?" He knew he would have to leave someday, yet he didn't do anything special with his time. He devoted himself to his training every day, preparing for any potential enemy that Dmitri might not be able to handle. Instead of broadcasting his departure everywhere to gain recognition or reward for his sacrifice, he calmly stayed the course. Why? God couldn't understand it. Despite his omniscience, he couldn't fathom the heart of this mere human at all. There's no special reason. Even if I only had 1 day left to live, I would always choose to live an everyday human life. Roman Dmitri, Emperor of the Dmitri Empire. Being the leader he was, he prepared for danger and didn't kick up a fuss just because his life had an end date. To him, it was simple. If he hadn't known he would have to leave this world someday, Roman would have lived the exact same way. So he chose to live with no regrets. Changing his behavior based on what lay ahead or giving up on living was not in line with the way he lived his life, fighting until the very end. He simply accepted reality and kept going. He was a human being even a god couldn't seem to comprehend. One last question. Have you ever regretted the life you've lived, even for a single moment? The answer was already obvious. People would call the choice he made a sacrifice, but Roman thought differently. From beginning to end, the life Roman Dmitri had lived was one lived entirely for himself. No. Not for a single moment. Is that so? This was something Roman would never know. Isabel had assumed that the reason Roman wasn't politically active was because he was worried about dimensional rifts, but in reality, God had been using his power to shield Roman from the consequences of dimensional law as long as possible so that he could live his life to the fullest. So that even if his life had a predetermined end, not even a shred of regret would linger in his heart when the time came. Roman Dmitri lived his daily life, and God looked out for him. That was all. It was the only way God could express his gratitude to the person who had shouldered all of humanity's burdens. Roman Dmitri, of all the humans I have met, you were the least human, and yet, more human than anyone else. Whoosh. Whoosh. Divine power blazed to life around him, swallowing the space once occupied by Roman Dmitri. I sincerely bless the new life you will now lead. Flash. Rumble. A brilliant flash of light consumed his vision. This was not the end. It was merely the beginning of a new future. Even if he could no longer live as Roman Dmitri, wherever he ended up, he was sure to live a life entirely his own. To continue reading the next part in Descended from Divinity, click here. When a divine demon is disgraced, can he somehow manage to claw his way back into power? Jung-Heek Baek, the divine overlord of Murim, is facing the end of his life when he is suddenly reincarnated as Roman Dmitri, the eldest son of House Dmitri. When a divine demon is disgraced, can he somehow manage to claw his way back into power? Jung-Heek Baek, the divine overlord of Murim, is facing the end of his life when he is suddenly reincarnated as Roman Dmitri, the eldest son of House Dmitri in the Kingdom of Cairo. Unlike his successful brothers in the capital, Roman has spent all 25 years of his life wasting away on the outskirts of the kingdom, until now. As Jung-Heek takes over Roman's body, he puts the young man's arrogant, self-indulgent lifestyle behind him and sets out to conquer this new world. Will the overlord of Murim be able to harness this pathetic new body and take over the continent of Salamander? Or is this second life meant to be a divine punishment?